Welcome to A Play on Nerds.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Jarman.
Between us, we have more than 30 years of experience in the nerd arts.
Each week, we endeavor to bring the world of nerddom to all of you.
So push up your glasses and listen up, Internet.
This is A Play on Nerds.
Welcome everyone to our spooky Halloween episode of A Play on Nerds. This is the one episode a year where Steve will believe in ghosts.
That might be going a little bit too far.
Just for one day.
I'm not sure believes, tolerate. I will tolerate ghosts.
Okay.
For this one time of year.
It's going to tolerate ghosts just for you, listeners.
Just for you guys.
God. Well, this is going to be an exciting Halloween show. We're going to have some Halloween, a big Halloween feature where we talk about everything about Halloween in general, and also some fun games and some spooky or dopey movie trailers that are all horror related. So it should be fun.
Horror-ish.
Horror-ish.
Most of them.
So what have you been up to this past week?
Well, on the last show, I was dying.
Yes.
And sick. I continued to be dying and sick for several days, actually another 4 days after we recorded. Finally went to the doctor and got diagnosed with pneumonia.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so I'm on some nice antibiotics. I'm feeling a little less awful each day. I get tired for like no reason at all. It's great. I got up from my chair and stretched, and I was like, man, I'm sweating. I got to sit down.
Did the doctors say like how someone, a 28-year-old, gets pneumonia just on a daily basis? How does that happen?
Well, they basically said it starts with either an upper respiratory infection or a sinus infection. And while you're all clogged up with gunk and mucus and stuff, the smallest parts of your bronchioles, the parts on the far outside, become infected and get inflamed. And because of that, they get worse at absorbing oxygen. And that's why a lot of people find themselves out of breath and wheezing and that sort of stuff when they have pneumonia.
That was a much more involved explanation than I expected. I'm very proud of you.
I'm a nurse's kid. I watched ER for like 12 years, so I got all this shit.
So George Clooney explained to you how you got pneumonia.
Only for the first 3 seasons.
Yes, with this Caesar haircut. Anyways.
Hey, that Caesar haircut did him well. Thank you very much.
I think I had that haircut for a while back in the day when he made popular.
You did have that haircut. You're absolutely right.
Showing our age here. Showing our age.
But during my pneumonia, before I knew I had it, actually, the day before, I was feeling a little bit okay. And somehow, through a miracle, my cousin got Anna and I passes to New York Comic Con.
Yes.
So we went to New York Comic Con for approximately 2 hours because that's all the energy I had. But man, it was overwhelming in a way I could not have anticipated.
Yeah, I mean that's the way those giant ones are, like New York Comic Con, Dragon Con, and San Diego Comic Con.
Holy crap! We immediately went into like the floor, the showroom where all the shops and stuff are.
Mm-hmm. And
you mentioned it, I think, on one of our first episodes. But the shuffling kind of step that you have to take is like aggravating and extra tiring.
Yes.
Like you can just barely move forward a half step each time the crowd lurches in that direction.
Especially like the vendor halls because they're so packed full of people and you can't stay and look at a booth because you're being pushed from behind and there's people in front of you. So you have a slow pace of like seeing vendors, but then you have to go right by because you can't stop.
Yeah. That or you have to like hug a table and grab on.
Yeah, grab on for dear life.
Some really fun costumes. I think a few of my favorites were the Sailor Moon team made entirely of tall, hairy men.
Oh, God.
It was so fun. Like they weren't even trying. It was great. There was a guy who went as Han Solo, and with suspenders on, he attached this big, probably 4 to 5 foot Millennium Falcon that he was in the middle of. And then had a Chewbacca doll sitting in one of the side things. And that was good. And then there was a kid who was Emperor Cusco from The Emperor's New Groove.
Nice.
And that kid was great. I really enjoyed that. He ended up on a couple websites. I was very proud.
That's pretty underdone these days. Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah. I was surprised. What there was a ton of was the new Disney princesses, Frozen.
Oh, Elsa and Anna.
Oh my God, there were so many. They were everywhere.
Oh yeah.
The other one I saw a ton of, Harley Quinn.
Yep.
So like just a billion of them. And for guys, it was Star-Lord.
Was there a lot of Deadpool still too?
There was a good amount, but I was overwhelmed by the amount of Star-Lords.
Yeah. It's the popular thing right now.
So we didn't go to any of the panels or anything. I did have the interest in getting one signature.
Mm-hmm.
And I of course, being the Muppet aficionado, went and looked for some Henson connections of who was there to sign. And there were one or two, but the one I was really excited about was Gates McFadden.
What has she done in Henson-wise?
So she has a small sort of cameo sort of appearance in Muppets Take Manhattan. But she was the assistant choreographer for Dark Crystal. And it was the first thing she did with them. And really, Dark Crystal was training her because then a year later, she did Labyrinth, and she was the primary choreographer and Muppet movement coordinator.
I had no idea, because for the rest of you out there, she's Dr. Crusher on The Next Generation.
Yeah, the redheaded doctor. That's how most people know her.
Yeah.
But before that, she was heavily involved with the Jim Henson Company.
That's awesome.
When I brought this up, actually, she lit up a little bit because I know she probably just gets Star Trek stuff all day, right?
Yeah.
Like just all day. So when someone has something weird, I bet you she's at least a little bit interested. And when I mentioned that, oh yeah, that was Dark Crystal was the first thing you did with them, right? She actually opened up and talked about it a little bit. And that was really nice.
That's awesome. So you actually get to speak to her.
Yeah.
And not be shuffled along for an autograph.
No, there was no one there.
Wow.
My money says that early in the day it gets crazy, and then there were a lot of panels around that time, so it probably dies down. But when we went, it was probably 3:00, and there was nobody. I had to wait behind nobody.
The autograph signing tables, basically.
Yeah, it was all the Star Trek guys.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
All down the line. Michael Dorn was down there too. I was going to get his, but I didn't have anything dinosaurs related that he was actually involved with.
Gotcha.
And plus, I'd already paid $40 for Gates McFadden's autograph. So.
What do you have for a sign?
Anna got me a really nice artsy remake poster for Dark Crystal. It's screen printed, and I got her to sign that. And that was her first involvement with the Jim Henson Company.
That's awesome.
Though back then she was Cheryl McFadden, I believe.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
She was like a different identity.
Yeah, a whole different person. But yes, that was my New York Comic-Con experience. It was pretty crazy for a first time around.
Especially just for a couple hours, you got to do quite a bit, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. So what have you been up to? I had an exciting week for once.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a good week of trying to get more voiceover work, and that's been going pretty well. But another kind of Halloween-related thing is I'm now co-owner of Skill Focus Burlesque, the burlesque troupe here in Orlando that does nerdy burlesque, and they did a horror show a while back where it's all horror-themed numbers like Jack Torrance from The Shining and all these different things. But we're trying to book another show in Orlando, and it just actually fell through. But it's just, I'm finding out how difficult it is to book shows for a theater group in any town, probably. But it's just to find a venue, to find the right stage, to find the right amount of seating, the right price, people serving.
Find the right event to hook onto.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very challenging. But I'm learning a lot, so that's good because eventually I'll be having my own shows. I'm going to do a variety show in Orlando every month. So I'm learning a lot while doing this, but it's a difficult process. But
do your parents still throw those insane Christmas parties with performers?
They haven't thrown such big ones anymore. My parents are immigration attorneys, for all you listeners out there, and so they get a lot of visas and green cards for performers for like La Nuba, which is or Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, Cirque du Soleil.
And a lot of the Disney and Universal performers and stuff. And so they would often have these performers perform at their Christmas parties, and we'd have in our backyard like acrobats and human statues and jugglers and stuff. So I kind of grew up with that, but they haven't done that in quite a while. So
yeah, I remember they had a team of contortionists one year.
Yeah,
they had one river dancer. Just the one. She did her little thing, and it was literally 45 seconds long, and that was it. That was done.
That's my first time announcing, too. They had me on the loudspeaker saying, and now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have a river dance. And then she came over and did a river dance.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's been my week, a couple weeks. So I guess we can move on to some nerdy news.
It's time for Nerdy News.
So what have you got for us in that arena today?
So as always, I try to give my my story a funny name, and this week it's called Fish Bones.
Okay.
And so scientists have discovered some earlier fossils that are 35 million years earlier than the last found fossils that prove that sex, actual intercourse, has been around for 385 million years now. And that before that, most of the time it would be what it is in less developed water creatures, which is, female lays the eggs, male comes by and squirts on them after they're laid, and then they incubate. But some of our earliest ancestors, Microbrachii dicki, which belong to a family of kind of horned fish that basically are responsible for things like the mouth having mirrored... having two sets of things, so like having two arms, two eyes, two nostrils. That was them.
Also appropriate, this is a story about sex, and they're called dickies, and they're horned. That's great.
Microbrachii dicki.
Yeah, getting horned everywhere.
Don't call him micro to his face.
God.
So yeah, they also were the first things to have teeth. So these are sort of very, very early ancestors of what we are now.
Very helpful creatures.
Yeah. And they basically found out that the males have an arm. They found these fossils that have an arm that was made for passing genetic material. And the female has a bone that it actually fits inside of perfectly. So it's the first time that they're like, yep, so 385 million years ago, we were boning.
Literally. With bones.
And ever since then... males have been scumbags. Since that moment, that's what it was all about.
We've been little and big dickies ever since.
Like one fish did it for the first time and it was like, man, I got to do that again and again and again.
And that's how evolution started, because then they had motivation for doing everything, which is all based off sex.
Males fell in love with sex. I think that we just developed an entirely new scientific theory right there.
Thanks, Dickie, for inventing sex.
Microbrachii dicki, you're my hero. Go get some. They've been extinct for like millions of years now, but still.
Well, they got some. We'll put it that way.
So yeah, that's fish bones.
You have a lot of fish and sea life stories. You seem to be fascinated with that.
I like biology. I really do.
Particularly marine biology, I guess.
Well, that's because that's where it all started. That's where biology began.
It's true. Well, I also try to look for some horror-related stories.
I couldn't find anything really horrible.
I know, there wasn't really anything great.
It was hard, so I gave up.
There was one story particularly that I was almost going to do, but it seemed like inappropriate. But it was just basically this guy used a spirit box, which is something people use on ghost hunts to... this is something I wanted to piss you off with, this story, but it just seemed inappropriate. But a spirit box is where it takes all the radio signals and plays them at the same time. And it comes across this jumbled mess. But typically they've had a lot of luck, supposedly, with asking questions like you would with an EVP session where you record, spirit voices.
Yeah, and then you listen back to the static and whatnot.
Exactly. But they use these things live. They'll ask questions, and then voices will pop out of the mess, the noise, and suddenly become clear and respond. And this one guy claims that he recorded with his spirit box the day that Robin Williams died, and he had Robin Williams' voice come through on the spirit box a couple times. But it was too much.
It's probably just a radio wave of an old Mork and Mindy episode.
Oh yes, I'm talking to you right now. Yes, I'm a ghost.
And the midget was like, oh my God.
Yeah. That would have been great. If it sounded anything like that, I might have played it. But I found instead a really interesting, cool story, which is still my realm of not quite paranormal, but conspiracy theory and interesting.
Good, because that last story was bullshit, and I would have called it so.
Absolutely. This is a true story. It's just very fascinating. The U.S. Air Force has this top secret space plane called the X-37B. And it went into space 674 days ago, so almost 2 years.
Okay.
And it just came back on October 17th. And we have no idea what it was doing up there. It was the longest time any returning vehicle has been in orbit for that long. And They will not disclose what it was out there doing, but it was an unmanned vehicle because it has no windows. But it's weird because it looks just like the old space shuttles, but it's just like a smaller version with no cockpit, no windows. And the big theory is that's just for surveillance, that they were using it to surveil. But the problem with that was the orbit that it had, because you could see it if you're an astronomer, you could actually follow its tracks. It didn't have a very practical orbit for surveilling things. So we don't know what it was for, and they won't tell us. So it's just kind of interesting that they had this top secret orbiting space plane that was up in space for almost 2 years, and we have no idea what it was for. So it just goes to show the government's doing some weird stuff, and we have no idea what they're doing.
It was probably to keep space prostitutes for all the guys that are up there in the space stations now.
Well, it had the only open space it has, they can tell for some reason, is the size of like a coffin. So that take from that what you will. I don't know. So if they had space whores in a coffin, that's what we could say.
Well, no, that's not a coffin. That's one of those freezing chambers from Alien.
Oh, there you go.
That way she's still fresh.
God, that's horrible. I think we should have a new premise for like a horror movie is
that way for her. Oh, space prostitutes, and it's like they get put to sleep, and then they have to do trick after trick after trick, and that's all they remember is just the tricks, because then otherwise they're asleep.
God.
Until one, basically, we're describing Moon, but with space prostitutes. That's what's happening right now.
Pretty much. But anyways, we also had a story turned in by one of our loyal listeners, Mr. Daniel Hitch. And it was a great story. And Daniel saw this and thought it was good, might be some good science news. And he says, as a Trek fan, I'm disappointed it wasn't a distorted whale song, which is a funny mention. Exactly. Wait, I have that right here.
Where that sound. I can't even replicate it.
But yeah, basically, the story turned in was NASA has recorded the music that our different planets make simply by their electromagnetic waves. So they're able to record them and play them back in a certain way. And it sounds very eerie, but very beautiful at the same time. And I have a few of those to play for you here. So yeah, and actually, we'll do a little game out of it here. If Steve can just think what planet this might be that he's hearing the music of, why not?
This is in our solar system, right?
Our solar system, yeah. Not some weird unknown planet.
Okay, well, at least I've got, and Pluto doesn't exist anymore, so I got
there you go.
Better odds.
All right, here we go. This is the first one. Can you hear that okay?
It just sounds like really heavy wind. I'm going to say Venus.
No, that is actually Uranus.
Oh, Uranus.
Uranus. Either way you want to say it. All right, here's the next one.
Okay. Oh, that's that filthy horse Saturn.
Hey, you're right. Good job.
Hey, I know. I knew it.
Steve knows a whore when he hears one. Oh, God. I don't know what that means. But apparently he does. All right. Yeah, you can. Actually, it wasn't Saturn. It was a cryogenically frozen prostitute on that space vehicle.
Screaming in her space coffin.
All right. Here's the next one.
Oh, man. That's Mercury.
What'd you say?
Mercury.
No, that is Neptune.
Neptune.
Damn that Neptune. All right, here's another one.
Venus.
No, that is Jupiter. And I'll play this one last one, but it's not a planet. It's actually the rings of Saturn. And these ones sound the coolest, I think. Here we go.
Let's hear it.
Like, that sounds like it could be the background of like a horror movie.
Well, yeah, it sounds like, in space, no one can hear you scream.
But everyone can hear the rings of Saturn.
And
it's really creepy.
Everyone can hear you fart. Yeah, you're right. This is the coolest one.
Yeah. So, anyways, those are some space sounds. It's really cool that the universe is emitting those noises in on a certain wavelength.
Do we have what Earth sounds like, or they can't really do that?
We do, but it wasn't that great. So,
well, that's
Earth
okay.
is boring.
Earth isn't that great. So,
Earth is boring. So I didn't play it. But yeah, thanks for that, Mr. Hitch. We appreciate it.
So now, to get us warmed up for our special Halloween segment, I have some Halloween trivia, mostly centered around candy, for Jarman to answer.
Candy.
All right, are you excited? I'm excited to see what you know.
I am excited too.
All right, so number 1. Trick-or-treating can be traced back as far as what time? Ancient Rome, the Middle Ages, or the French Renaissance?
I'm going to go with ancient Rome.
Ooh, you went back too far. It's the Middle Ages.
Oh, damn.
It was originally All Souls Day, and poor people begged for these little sugar cakes, and if they got them, they had to pray for dead members of the person who gave them's family.
So, Middle Ages. Oh, yes. Please give me little sugar cakes.
Yes, there we go.
I promise.
No.
I promise to pray for your family.
That's even creepier now that you're saying it that way.
All right.
All right. So, chocolate makes up what percentage of the average trick-or-treater's haul?
Chocolate, I would say that would probably depend on decade or popular thing at the time, but probably I would say maybe 60%.
Ooh, 75%.
All right.
Yeah.
See, I always didn't like chocolate. I always trade my sister for the gummy stuff. I like gummies and like sweet tarts, and I give her the chocolate.
Chocolate. Oh my God.
I like chocolate, but I'm always more excited by gummies.
So, what were the 3 flavors that used to make up the 3 separate Three Musketeer bars that came when you got a Three Musketeer?
Oh, that's an oldie one.
It is.
Wait till the very end here, okay? So I'm going to go with regular milk chocolate, white chocolate, and then apple with razor blades.
Only one that was correct was apple with razor blades.
Oh, okay.
It was originally chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. Three different mini separate bars.
Damn. I did not know that happened. I thought it was always just the one bar. Weird.
Yeah. Well, now you learned something on Halloween.
I did.
All right. What is the name of the Fruit Stripe Gums zebra mascot?
Oh, I hated that gum because it would lose its flavor in like 5 seconds.
Like 2 seconds later, you had to pop another piece in every time.
Oh. Zimbo the zebra?
I mean, that's not the worst guess in the world. It was Yipes.
Yipes the zebra. That's a horrible name. I like Zimbo the zebra better.
All right, so this is a good wild card one.
Okay.
Until it was renamed in the early 1930s, the sugar daddy that we know today was called what?
I've never had a sugar daddy before.
Well, that's too damn bad. That won't help you now.
The sugar daddy was called what? It was called something different?
Yeah, it was renamed the sugar daddy from an earlier name.
Baby daddy.
Almost as so. Get ready for this. It was the Papa Sucker.
Oh, Jesus, that's horrible.
It is.
That's just as bad as baby daddy.
All right.
From now on, I'm gonna ask kids that come to my door for Halloween. I'm gonna ask them these trivia questions first before I give them candy. So just to piss them off.
Do you want fruit stripe gum or a Papa Sucker? And they'll all scream and run away, and the cops will be there soon.
Pretty much.
All right. In the 1930s, famed Arctic explorer Richard Byrd went on a 2-year expedition to the South Pole. What candy did he take 2.5 tons of with him?
Jesus. 2.5 tons? I'm going to go with Swedish fish.
It's not a bad guess. Necco wafers, because they never go bad.
The hell are Necco wafers?
You've never had a Necco wafer?
Never in my life.
What the hell? They're their big version of sweet tarts, but
that
terrible,
sounds good.
But terrible and chalky.
That sounds horrible.
They used to come in chocolate, lime, vanilla, and something else. And now they've got a bunch of flavors, but the chocolate ones are what they're known for.
Sounds really weird.
Look them up. You'll recognize them.
I'm curious to hear what our UK listeners have to say about this because they probably have all different kinds of candy than we do.
Yeah, Necco wafers. Check them out. Necco. It's creepy.
Weird.
All right. So now, final question.
Okay.
In order from highest to lowest candy sales, give me the correct order of these holidays.
Okay.
I want the highest first and then the lowest last. Easter, Valentine's Day, and Halloween.
Easter, Valentine's Day, Halloween. Most to least, you said?
Yeah. Which one has the most? Sells the most.
Most, I'm going to have to say Halloween.
That's correct.
Okay. Second, Valentine's Day.
No, that's incorrect. And you don't get a chance to guess at the third because you already have the answer.
Yes.
But I'll give you a point for Halloween. So 90 million pounds of candy each year in the weeks prior to Halloween. 65 million leading up to Easter and 48 million leading up to Valentine's Day.
Do you know if that's just U.S. or worldwide?
Oh, that's got to be. I hope that's just the U.S. I did just think that our fat ass is even better.
Exactly. Obesity. Diabetes.
Diabetes for all.
Diabetes. People with diabetes. People with diabetes. People with diabetes. Diabetes. Well, if you have diabetes. Well, if you have diabetes. Well, if you have diabetes.
That's a new right, America.
Diabetes. Well, that was fantastic. I know so much more about candy now, and so many candies I have not tried, and I'm not going
old school
to.
Candies.
I need to
Necco
get a
wafers.
Papa Sucker and a Nocco wafer.
And that strawberry Three Musketeer.
Ugh. Sounds awful. I'll stick with my gummies. All right, so now we're going into our feature segment where we're just going to talk everything Halloween. Everything from costumes to music, everything else.
Costumes, candy, shenanigans.
What makes it a great holiday? My favorite holiday.
Is it really your favorite holiday?
Oh, it is, absolutely.
Why is it your favorite holiday?
I just love... I always wish I could be more of a cosplayer now, but ever since I was a kid, I loved dressing up in the costumes. I love scaring people, and I love the special effects makeup that goes along with that same thing. And, you know, of course, when you're a kid, you love going around getting candy because that's all kids want to do is get candy.
So the first time you hear the concept of Halloween when you're a kid, you remember the first time you even heard about it? It's like, your brain can't even... What is this? Who's giving out candy? Someone's giving out candy? Who is giving out this candy? Everyone that we know is just giving out candy? I gotta be a part of this. Take me with you. I want to do it. I'll do anything that they want. I can wear that.
What was the, what do you think, what do you remember being the first costume that you made by yourself?
Oh, that I made by myself. Yeah. I mean, the first big one that I really remember putting together and putting a lot of work into was Michael Myers from Halloween when I was a little older. And I wore that for like 3 years in a row because I found like at the thrift store this great mechanic's outfit that matched the one in the movie perfectly. And then I found that actual mask, at a costume store. And it was fantastic. And I got a little plastic, butcher knife, not butcher knife, but like the big knife that he uses.
Yeah.
But before that, when I was a little kid, my parents helped me. It was very nice of them. We went to their usual seamstress that they would go to occasionally and had her make a costume for me. And it was for Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat.
That was the first costume that I remember, like our first Halloween that we hung out. You were Sub-Zero.
Oh, yeah. It was so good, too, except for the fact that we got a biking mask, like you use for just to cover your mouth, but looks really like the one
like
that Sub-Zero wears.
Like
BMXers.
Yeah.
But we spray painted it blue and didn't
That's
think.
Right. I wrote that down. I wrote this down.
Did you? I didn't think about the fumes that would be coming into that mask from spray painting it blue.
Yeah, it wasn't quite dry enough yet.
It was always sticky. It never got not sticky.
But I remember you're like, oh, the fumes are making my head hurt. And we eventually had to go in early because you were dying.
But yeah, I remember that costume being awesome. And I remember going to the seamstress. She didn't speak English very well, but I gave her pictures of Sub-Zero and she just made this great costume, especially for a little kid. It was so much better than the ones packaged out of the store. So I was very happy with that.
My first costume I made myself was also that Halloween. And I made the terrible mistake. It was my first Halloween in Florida. And in the North where I grew up, when you have a Halloween costume, you have to make it warm because you're going to be outside in it all night. And it's cold by that late October.
Yep.
In the North. So I remember I made a robot costume out of like boxes and pipe things for my arms.
That's right.
It was so hot that I just ended up taking that thing off and dragging that shit around because I did not understand how warm it was going to be on Halloween. It didn't make sense to me at the time.
There's a great Seinfeld sketch about that same kind of thing.
So I'm begging the parents, you got to get me one of the ones from the store, the cardboard box, the cellophane top. So 1 year, third year, finally got it. Superman costume, not surprisingly. Mask included in the set. Remember the rubber band on the back of that mask? That was a quality item there, wasn't it? It was good for about 10 seconds before it snapped out of that cheap little staple they put it in there with. Thinnest gray rubber in the world. You go to your first house, trick or snap, it broke, I don't believe it. Wait up, I gotta fix it, you guys. So I had my Superman Halloween costume, I was physically ready, I was mentally prepared. And I assumed when I put this costume on, I would probably look exactly like the Superman I had come to know on television and in the movies. Now, you remember these costumes. It's not exactly the super fit that you are hoping for. You look more like you're wearing Superman's pajamas is what you look like. It's all loose and flowing. And neckline kind of comes down to about there. You got that flimsy little ribbon string holding it together in the back. Plus, my mother makes me wear my winter coat over the costume anyway. I don't recall Superman wearing a jacket. So you're going out there, and the mask keeps breaking. So the rubber band keeps getting shorter. Gets tighter and tighter on your face. You can't even see. You're trying to breathe through that. Remember that little hole? It gets all sweaty in there. And the mask starts slicing into your eyeballs. I can't see. I can't breathe. But we got to get the candy. Let's keep going. About a half hour into it, you take that mask. Oh, the hell with it. Bing bong. Yeah, it's me. Give me that candy. I'm Superman. Look at the pant legs. What the hell's the difference?
I love it.
What do you think is the costume that over the years you've been the most proud of? Because you've done some ones recently that I'm sure you're happy with.
Oh, my all-time favorite was probably, I think, my sophomore year of college. I ordered this mask pieces from this prosthetics company. It was like $50. But it was for basically a Voldemort mask, but it was two pieces of a prosthetic, and you had to put it on with liquid latex and everything, and put the makeup over it.
I remember seeing pictures of that.
Yeah, and I took a long time to put it together. I did all the makeup myself. I got a proper costume and a wand, and I had scary nails that were sharp, and it looked really freaky. And so that was my most proud one, because I scared people on the streets with that. It was great. What about you?
The one that I was most proud of, I made in college, I think my freshman year. And I went and I pieced it together, and I decided I was going to go as Peter Pan. For some reason, this was funny at the time. And so I pieced together the whole outfit, the hat, the pointy hat with the feather, and, the sort of like cropped green shorts over tights and all that. You got the whole thing together.
Hot.
Went, and then all night, they were like, hey, dude, nice Robin Hood. And I looked it up, and Robin Hood and Peter Pan had the same friggin' outfit.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Disney's Peter Pan and Disney's Robin Hood, someone was just lazy about costume design. It is the exact same costume.
It's true.
And so I was really proud of it because it looked really good, but nobody knew what I was. That made me
and that's
upset.
Okay. They just thought you had a nice Robin Hood, so that works out.
Yeah, that was okay. Like, it's not like, dude, what are you? People knew, it just was the wrong thing.
Well, you're a giant man. They don't think of, Peter Pan. They're going to think Robin Hood.
I always want to be a little boy and have fun.
Okay, Michael Jackson. That's actually reminds me of a funny story. Another giant man friend of mine named Joel, who lived with me and not lived with me, but lived in Atlanta when I lived. We went to Dragon Con and he dressed as, I don't remember actually if it was Peter Pan or Robin Hood, but it was the same type of thing. But he's like 6'3" and real big wide shoulders and everything. And so he thought he would get one or the other, but then this girl was driving by in an SUV and she's leaning out her window, and little tiny girl, and she's like, "Hey, it's Tinkerbell." And he's like, "I'm not Tinkerbell. I'm Peter Pan. I mean, I'm Robin Hood. I'm not Tinkerbell."
I don't know what I am, but I'm not Tinkerbell.
It was very upsetting, but another example of a large man in that kind of costume. But one thing that I always thought was funny, because you mentioned the North and how you had to dress up in warm clothes. Well, when I lived in Boston for college, it was October. It was just becoming freezing outside. But these girls would be wearing these ridiculously skimpy Halloween costumes, like sexy nurse, sexy plumber. But they were shivering and just ridiculously cold. It was snowing some Halloweens up there. And it's like, why are you wearing that? I mean, yeah, it looks great, but you look like you're about to die. But for the sake of Halloween, they would do it. For the
sake of trampy Halloween.
Exactly. I wish they had trampy male costumes. I mean, they probably have a couple, but not nearly the plethora of women's trampy costumes.
Most of them are in leather.
Yeah, exactly.
So trick-or-treating. When did we stop going trick-or-treating?
I remember not wanting to stop, but I just knew I had to. But probably like 9th grade, maybe?
I think 9th grade too. Whenever I'm trying to recall it, I think it was 9th grade.
Which is like 15 for us or 14?
14 for me.
Yeah. Because that's like the last time you're like, well, we're getting high school now. We better stop doing this.
Yeah.
Remember those last few Halloweens, getting a little too old for it? Just kind of going through the motions. Bing bong, come on, lady, let's go. Halloween, doorbells, candy, let's pick up the pace. And you come to the door, they always ask you those same stupid questions. What are you supposed to be? I'm supposed to be done by now. You want to move it along with the Three Musketeers? I got 18 houses on this block alone. You just hit the bag, we hit the road. That's the routine. Let's just pick it up.
But then, of course, you and I always had, or at least for a long time, we had our Halloween parties.
Yep, that's something we had tradition.
It sort of took the place.
People just knew every year Steve and I were going to throw a Halloween party, and I wish I could still continue that tradition.
And that started, I think, in the 7th grade.
Big parties with bands, and everyone's in costume, and it was good times.
Well, yeah, the first time the band was at your place, that was 9th grade, because it was Franco.
Yes, the wonderful band Franco.
And we got the cops called us on at like 9:15 or something like that by one of your neighbors. Like not even late enough to file a sound ordinance.
Exactly. And I want to relate this to the audience that everyone probably has in their high school experience one band who thinks that they are great because they're the only band in school. And everyone's like, whoa, they're in a band together and they actually have instruments. And everyone thinks they're so amazing. But looking back at them, you're like, wow, they were probably really bad.
Well, the one thing I remember
was Franco.
The first time they performed at your place, the first, I think, 9th grade Halloween, you had that pool in your backyard, and kids would get out of the pool and come up to listen to the band, and they got all of their equipment wet and like ruined a couple $100 worth of equipment.
I'm just glad no one died of like electric shock. That would have been a horror movie right there.
And then they performed again the next year in my backyard, and my backyard was set up in a way that like nobody went out to listen to them. I felt so bad.
I'm sure they're all excellent musicians now. It's just a matter of inexperience and being young, but I don't know.
But yeah, we were the Halloween party. We were it for probably 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, we were pretty popular back then.
Ish. We knew a lot of people.
Yeah, we were not the popular crowd. Don't get us wrong.
You and I drifted between a lot of different groups. I think.
Yeah, we were always nerds, but yeah, we were well liked. I would say that.
Yeah. And we were also, people knew us as sort of a duo.
And we also went to Blues Brothers for one of those parties and sang a wonderful Blues Brothers rendition of Rollin', Rollin', Rollin'.
That was we were going to do it, and then the cops called, and you were like, quick, before the cops show up, let's do this real quick before they shut us down. And you and I got up into that one song, and that was it.
Rollin', rollin', rollin'. That was it. So that's your inside baseball segment there, folks. The childhood of Steve and Jarman.
Bam. That's right there. Well, we're talking about something that it's part of everyone's childhood.
That's true. I think a lot of people had, the awkward, teenage parties, and the flirting with the girls. I remember so many awkward flirting sessions at those parties. And
here's the thing. I remember the reason that you and I threw this Halloween party the first year we did it, and you may not remember this, but at the time you were dating a girl, Kristen. We won't mention last names,
of course.
And I was dating her best friend, Celeste. And they were like, you guys should throw a Halloween party. So, of course, trying to impress our girlfriends at the time, we threw this Halloween party.
See, it goes back to that bonefish, man.
The bonefish. I'm telling you.
It goes all the way back. It inspires all our behavior. It's just...
Everything that we are is because of the bonefish.
Thanks to the Dickie fish.
Thanks, Dickie. But yeah, that's the reason we had our first ever Halloween party. And it just sort of followed.
It's all about evolution.
So you mentioned it earlier. You're not a big chocolate fan. What is like the one candy that you would trade someone for that you just had to have?
I mean, I feel like there's better candy selections nowadays than there was back then. But I mean, anything that was gummy, I wanted that. Okay. I didn't want, and also I hated candy corn. I hate. Candy corn.
Love candy corn. It's
so boring and just
my god,
chalky.
You can eat
weird.
like 1,000 of them.
Ugh, you can keep all the candy corn. I'll trade you for that. I'll trade anything else. My favorite was always
the individually wrapped Reese's peanut butter cups.
Oh yes,
that's
peanut butter and chocolate is where it's at. Pretty much.
And then what was the candy that you were like, no, thank you?
That'd be candy corn.
That candy that would be the last one. That the candy corn was the last one in your bag.
Or the apple with razor blades. I mean, no one wants that.
Well, no one wants it, but you would save it for last. I mean,
okay, I'll eat the apple with razor blades. I guess
Tootsie Rolls. I hated Tootsie Rolls.
Oh yeah, Tootsie Rolls are really boring. I always was very disappointed. There's those blow pops that are either bubble gum in the middle or Tootsie Roll in the middle, and I hated the Tootsie Roll in the middle.
Oh, the Tootsie Pop. Oh my god, terrible.
It's like, terrible. I like the popsicle. Get rid of the Tootsie and we'll be good mood. Also, I hate Tootsie Rolls now. Because somebody who walks outside of my house every day leaves tons of Tootsie Roll wrappers. So I have to go out there and pick up Tootsie Roll wrappers every day in front of my house. It's really frustrating. So whoever that kid is, if you're listening to this, stop it. I'm going to talk to your parents.
You should. Yeah, I hope he's listening.
I hope he's listening.
Learned a valuable lesson.
It's very frustrating. My yard is not your trash can, folks.
Did you guys have any like Halloween traditions in your house?
Well, my stepfather really enjoyed doing decorations, but my mother is very OCD and thinks they're tacky. So it was always the battle between how much he was allowed to put up and how much he was not allowed because of her OCDness. Same with Christmas.
Did you guys carve pumpkins?
Not really. And actually, I've only recently gotten into that. There's these great kits now that you can get, which you might have used, but where like you can put the tracer thing over it, put the marker lines on your pumpkin, and then cut it out. And you can make really intricate stuff with just the tracer lines. So it's pretty easy now. But it's still a hard process, digging in there and sawing at it and everything. I guess in your New York area, is that something you can actually do?
I mean, we could if we really wanted to. We would just lay down like newspaper. But as I've got pictures of me as like a really young kid, like 2 or 3, just loving pumpkin. But all I remember about pumpkin is never wanting to touch that inside shit.
It is pretty gross.
Ever. Never. I never want to touch it. It smells funny. It leaves your hand smelling funny. I don't want to touch it. I like painting pumpkins. I enjoy that, putting a spooky face on a pumpkin with some paint, but I don't want to touch the insides.
Never done that. But you know what is great? With just one pumpkin, it has enough seeds that you can roast those seeds and salt them, and they last forever. It's like you can get a whole full Ziploc bag full of seeds from like one pumpkin, and they're delicious.
You sound like Martha Stewart right now. It's awesome.
Oh, they're really delicious. If you just get the pumpkin seeds, yeah.
And then you can put them in a festive holiday pie.
And they're really good for when you go to prison for insider trading because they last a long time.
And it helps to keep your protein up. And you can use them to buy things like not assault.
And I really want to make a clip now of Martha Stewart talking with like horror music in the background.
Do it.
Halloween should be terrifying. It should be frightening. Most of all, it should be lots of fun. I try to remember all the great things about Halloween in my childhood, and I like to share all those things with the kids today. we've sort of been cheated out of Halloween in the last 15 years, I think. There's been so much else going on that families sort of forgot to celebrate this most wonderful of holidays. And nowadays, though, kids are liking to get dressed up. They're liking to make their costumes. They want to have lantern parades and apple dunking parties and candy apples. Candy apples. Candy apples.
Some packages. Oh yes, some pumpkin seeds. That's great. Anyways,
No talk about Halloween would be complete without us talking about horror movies.
absolutely.
Because that's the one thing, Halloween, what you gonna do? Oh, you gotta have horror movies on.
And I was thinking about this is that one of the things that makes me the most scared, I've realized from horror movies, is really the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
I think the soundtrack for a horror movie can really make or break it. And like it builds the tension for you. And if it's telegraphing too much, you're going to know the scare is coming. And and also just having a really creepy tune that sticks with you. And my all-time favorite is goes back to my costume that I had, which is the Mike Myers theme in Halloween, the movie Halloween. How appropriate. Do you remember that, how it goes, Steve? Exactly.
I used to know how to play that on the piano.
There it is.
Mm.
And it actually was written by the director, John Carpenter. He actually wrote that song.
Well, I mean, it doesn't sound like it would be that difficult to write.
Hey, shut up.
It's not like there's a symphony involved. Come on.
There's a huge symphony of one piano. But that was just that music just creeped me out, and I loved it for so long.
Yeah. Mine is Alien. As far as like scary music, scary soundtrack, it's all just mood music and very, very light, and it builds the suspense beautifully to these very stark, very loud moments. It's brilliant.
Is that leading to our alien story?
What? There's an alien story?
Yes. So when I was growing up, I had a macaw in my house, which is like right in our porch. And our macaw was this, macaws are big tropical birds that are, they can speak really well and they can copy your language and everything. And it would say things like, hello, hello. And if you pick up a phone, it was really smart. If you picked up a phone, it would say hello before you could say anything because it recognized that motion and that you were about to say hello.
And I remember it would say goodbye when you left, when you walked out of the room. Goodbye.
Mm-hmm. And I thought you were there for this, but we were having like some kind of get together at my house where we're all watching an Alien movie. I don't know if it was Aliens 2 or Aliens, it's just called. But that sound the aliens made, that like clicking noise,
or
whatever it is, it started copying that noise in the middle of the movie and scared the shit out of all of us that were watching it.
Thanks,
I thought you were there for that though, but it was like a bunch of us all watching that movie in my living room.
Sounds like it's quite possible. I hated that bird, and that bird hated me till the day I last saw it.
And it almost bit my finger off. It's an extremely powerful beak. That's also scary.
I remember it decapitated some of its cage mates at one point.
Yeah, they decided to give it friends in the form of cockatiels, and that was a bad idea because
those cockatiels did not last longer. I think a day. I think that was
they ended up headless, I believe. Yeah.
Yes. That's the real horror story, folks. So I've got some categories as far as movies go, and I want to hear what your favorite in that category is.
Sure.
All right. So a creature feature.
So like a
monster movie.
Okay. I think we talked about this before, how I'd only recently really seen it, which was The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Also John Carpenter, who
that was on my list. Here. Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my top ones for creature feature. As far as actually being kind of scary,
My offering is The Descent.
Ah, there you go. Good one.
Great use of creatures. You don't see them for the first 45 minutes, which makes them even scarier when you do finally see them.
I was saying just a well-made movie as well.
That's one of my big bugaboos with a lot of modern horror is that they overshow the monster. They overshow the villain to a point where you don't care anymore.
Agreed. I mean, if you're going the whole funny horror route, that's fine. But if you actually want it to be scary, build the tension.
Well, that's like in Jaws. You don't see the actual shark for like the first 45 minutes of the film. Maybe longer.
Due to budgetary concerns.
Yes. And the fact that the first shark sank into the ocean.
It's somewhere out there.
All right, so your favorite supernatural horror.
Oh, goodness. Supernatural horror. I mean, it fits in this category, but the one that scared me the most in my entire life, and I still probably couldn't watch it again, and for some reason it doesn't scare many people, and they think it's crappy, but it's The Ring.
Oh, The Ring was scary as hell.
I had nightmares, and I was over 18 by that point, but I had nightmares for like 2 weeks, and I had a hard time going to sleep for like 2 weeks. That was the first time they utilized the creepy little girl effect thing, with the long black hair.
Oh, and plus the story was creepy, and you knew it was leading to something, and they built the suspense for absolutely. The Ring, without a doubt.
I'm glad you agree. That scared the crap out of me.
For me, I put Evil Dead.
Really?
Which I would consider more of a supernatural film than like a creature feature.
But more like for the funny aspect, not for being actually scary.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Here's my problem is that most supernatural horror films are ghost films, and I fucking hate ghost films. So it was hard for me to find one that would be considered supernatural, but not make me want to punch people in the face.
Understandable.
The other one I also like, another Sam Raimi, is Drag Me to Hell.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, watch it. It is Raimi's triumphant return to horror.
It was several years, I guess, after Evil Dead.
Drag Me to Hell was just 4 years ago.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's recent. Check it out. It's great.
So I guess your favorite horror director is Sam Raimi, and mine would be John Carpenter, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Your favorite zombie film?
Favorite zombie film? I just saw it. Oh, it might be Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead was just very enjoyable.
I like their treatment of the zombies in that. You didn't have to take them too seriously, but they were still a threat.
And then I think the first one that had running zombies, which was 7 days later? What was it called?
28 days later. And I would contest that actually it was the new, what I put for mine, the new Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, okay. They did running zombies as well?
Ving Rhames? Yes, there are several shots of zombies like flat out sprinting.
Yeah, because that's a scary thought. It's like, why are they always shambling? What if they were running at you?
Yeah, and they don't get tired, so you're done.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite slasher film?
Well, I don't know if it's my favorite, but recently I was going to audition for a independent film that was in the same universe as Friday the 13th. Not Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay.
So I went ahead and binge watched the entire set of Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I hadn't seen them all. I've only seen bits and pieces of some of them. So now it's like really fresh in my mind. I watched the documentary behind them. And so I really enjoyed, after watching the documentary, especially, I appreciated what the work that went into it and all the creature effects. And even though the movies were kind of silly in the end, like they put a lot of work into it. And they really did love the series. And so I appreciate that one a lot. Okay. So yeah, what about you?
I went with Child's Play.
Okay. I haven't seen one of those in a long time.
And it's sort of, Child's Play has almost become a joke with how sort of crazy the Chucky series has become. But one thing that I'd like to remind people is that when Child's Play came out, it wasn't clear as to whether it was the doll or the kid who was murdering everyone.
Oh.
So now we just know that, yes, it's the doll because all these movies have been out. We know that. At the time, that was the edge.
That's a creepy thought.
Was it the little boy killing her and then imposing it on the doll, or was the doll actually doing it? And so when the doll's head turns around and calls her a bitch, that was a real scary moment because until that moment, you weren't sure.
So it was more psychological up to that point.
Yeah.
Speaking of doll movies, I just saw Annabelle in the theaters.
Oh, how was that?
It was actually not bad.
Yeah.
It was a movie that was actually taking itself seriously for a kind of hard to take serious idea, a doll killing people. But it was very dark, very gritty, but actually just good dialogue. You actually cared about the characters. I was like, wow, this is finally a decent horror movie. Like it's not like one of 10 Saw movies, it's like this is made by itself. It was somewhat based off a true story, a true, reported story, obviously.
I think Anna showed me it where it was actually a Raggedy Ann doll originally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think Anna looked that up and yeah.
But the movie, it was worth seeing. It's worth watching because it was a fun watch and it was like, oh, good acting, good actors portraying the roles. So definitely worth watching. But creepy doll movie for sure.
Okay. Vampire film.
Vampire film.
There have been so few good ones.
That's true. There have been a few good ones. I will say, what's the one with Tom Cruise and all that?
Interview with the Vampire. That's the one I put.
There you go. I mean, that's a good one. But I mean, as far as fun, ridiculous ones, though, I do like the Underworld series just because it's fun and ridiculous.
For that category, I like the Blade series.
Yeah, absolutely. I like Blade too. So those are the fun, like, action ones.
Blade 2 with Ron Perlman? Hell yeah.
Yeah, and they're not horror movies per se. They're just action movies. But Interview with the Vampire is less horror than it is kind of like, I don't know, drama.
Just good storytelling.
Yeah, good movie. But yeah, all those are fun. I usually love any vampire movie. That's why I want to see Dracula Untold. I think we reviewed that on here, didn't we?
I think we did.
Yeah.
Are there any movies that used to scare you as a kid that now in hindsight you can't believe you were afraid of?
Exorcist, probably.
Okay.
I mean, it's still a good watch. I can tell it's a quality movie, but it doesn't scare me like it did before because it just seems kind of, the effects are a little silly looking at it now.
Very dated.
Yeah. What about you?
For me, it is, this is embarrassing, Ernest Scared Stupid.
No, there's some scary parts in that movie.
The Troll. Here's the thing, for it being a very funny, overall, just goofy movie with like Eartha Kitt's in it, to have a troll costume that was that ornate and that scary, and it's all about this thing grabbing children and turning them into wooden dolls, like that was scary as shit when I was a kid.
That is scary, yeah.
And they like play up every cliche ever. Like a kid's about to fall down a riverbank and it's like Ernest's voice like, here, I can help you, buddy. And looks up and it's the troll. Or a little girl is afraid that the troll's in Ernest. So she checks under her bed and finds a teddy bear. And when she comes back up under her bed, the troll's waiting for her in bed. Like it's just some scary, messed up stuff. Where I'm like, that's it. I'm a wooden doll. I'm as good as taken.
That reminds me of something. I think I posted it. I'll play on Nerds, but it was part of this 1 minute film festival. And so you had to turn in horror movies that were 1 minute long, which is great because it makes you really have to scare someone in 1 minute. And this father comes into the room and his like 3-year-old boy, adorable little kid, sitting there saying, "Daddy, will you tuck me in?" He's like, "Oh, of course, son." He goes over and puts the blanket over him. Really good production quality and everything. And he's like, "Wait, you didn't check under the bed." He's like, "Okay, I'll check under the bed." He looks under the bed and there's his son under the bed. And he says, "Daddy, someone is in my bed." And then his father raises his head and looks in the bed and his son's there too. And he's like, just look on his face. And I was like, wow, that was legitimately creepy because I wasn't expecting that. You know, you expect like a monster to jump out, but it was just his son again under the bed being like, "That's not me. That's something else in my bed." So it was really creepy. What would you say is your favorite, because this is a new big thing, your favorite found footage horror film?
I really don't care for the found footage overall, just in general.
Yeah.
I hate Blair Witch, mostly because we were so overexposed to it when it came out, living in Orlando.
Yeah, it was made by university students here in Orlando.
You couldn't escape it. It was everywhere. I don't know. I have to look up a list of found footage horror films. Let me see.
I've watched a lot of them.
I'm sure I have too. I just can't think of any that really stood out.
Not that I love found footage films or anything, but it's just a matter of there's been so many found footage horror films now.
Oh, The Sacrament.
Huh. I haven't seen that one.
It's on Netflix. It's based off of real events, but it's about this cult that was being led by this crazy religious guy who then got them all to commit suicide.
Jeez.
And the brother of this woman who was there who went, and his two like film journalist buddies that followed him.
Okay.
And it's based off of their footage and their interviews. I guess also, per what we're going to talk about later, VHS, I guess, falls into that category technically. Or a lot of VHS. And I really liked both VHS films.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about that more later, but I like them for the sake that they're little small vignettes of horror films, and they're good like experiments with film technique is basically what they are.
And,
like, how
and
can
I also like that if I don't like this part of the movie, I know that it's going to be over and there's going to be another part of the movie to enjoy. Yeah,
it's like little short films. So that's kind of neat.
What's yours, Mr. Found Footage?
Well, I mean, I actually don't mind a lot of them, but I did like I guess Cloverfield is kind of a horror film in a way.
Yeah, sort of. I
the whole like
get on board with that.
The whole infection part of it and everything.
It's certainly a monster movie.
Yeah. And there was another one I can't remember the name of now, but it was also on Netflix, and it was really good at older actors. I always like movies that don't star just gorgeous people. It just makes me believe the movie more. I don't know. Because not every singing actor has to be beautiful. Like back in the 70s, we had like Jack Nicholson was a leading man. He's not a gorgeous guy. He was already in his 30s or 40s, but he was getting movies all the time.
Yeah,
but now
James Belushi.
James Belushi. Like, you have to be gorgeous now to James Belushi. Took me a second. But even Tom Hanks, I don't think would have gotten a fair shot at being leading man so much these days.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, but like,
thank God he was. He's not a bad-looking man. He is not classically good-looking.
Yeah, but I challenge you to find one leading man who's starting now, who's not, devilishly good-looking, because otherwise it doesn't happen. But no, this movie is about like a priest who has to document everything for the Vatican. He's sent by the Vatican to this small town where they're reporting demonic activity, and he has to go and check it out, and he's begrudgingly doing it. He wants to leave the church, so there's an interesting story behind him. He's battling alcoholism and that kind of thing because he doesn't want to be with the church anymore. And he has to document everything for the modern, Vatican, which wants everything recorded for their own records. So it kind of worked, and it was good acting, and I was like, wow, that's very decent. I'll have to find out the name for it. So now everyone wants to watch it, and they can't because I don't know the name of it.
Yeah, thanks for nothing, Jar.
No problem. Well, any particular TV shows that you are a fan of for Halloween?
Well, of course, you can't talk about television specials without the Simpsons yearly Treehouse of Horrors.
I did not know about that because I'm not a Simpsons watcher.
Oh, man. Yeah, every year, it's generally their second or third episode of the season because they come back on in early October. But Treehouse of Horrors is just great. It's little vignettes. It talks, it does a lot of pop culture about whatever is scary that year sort of thing. Stephen King has had an episode, that sort of, but every year it's a lot of fun, a lot of vignettes, and it's great. And some of the older ones are classics, absolute classics. Freaks and Geeks has one of my favorite holiday episodes called Tricks and Treats, which is
the really sad one where he's going back in his costume and he gets egged or whatever.
Yeah, and he's actually also dressed like a robot that he made himself out of boxes.
I love that show so much.
But it's all about them coming to terms with like that they can't trick or treat anymore.
Yep, I remember that. She wanted to be cool and be with her friends.
Yeah, Lindsay. Yeah, and they go kicking pumpkins and stuff.
Yep.
The Office, the Halloween episode where Michael has to decide someone to fire, but the whole episode he's wearing that ridiculous second head.
That's right.
Parks and Recreation, their first Halloween episode, Greg Pakitis, about this little kid, about this teenager who every Halloween trashes something in the city and them trying to stop him. But he's like an evil genius.
That's right. How do you remember all these things? It's impressive.
Yeah, some stick out. And my final one, of course, South Park, their first Halloween special, Pink Eye. The town, everyone thinks everyone has pink eye, but really everyone's turning into zombies, but everyone keeps insisting that it's pink eye. It is hilarious.
I think I remember that because that's back when I actually watched South Park.
Yep, and Chef dresses like Michael Jackson in Thriller. It is great.
Well, there are two shows that are currently on that are very horror-themed, of course. One being, of course, American Horror Story.
Yep.
Which Steve and I are both avid watchers of, although I have not seen any of the new season yet.
Neither have I, no.
But I've heard it's great. Just haven't seen it yet. And also The Walking Dead. I don't know if you watched that or not, Steve.
Yep. I've watched everything that's on Netflix, so none of the new season.
Okay. I've started watching the new season as well. And The Walking Dead is on and off good, but it's worth watching because the good parts are really good.
Oh, yeah.
It gets slow occasionally.
TV, but yeah. I think season 3, there were at least 4 or 5 just sort of filler episodes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, come on. Make the plot happen. Come on.
And I'll be proud to say that my old roommate, she is a makeup artist, and she was down her luck quite a bit there. She was doing odd jobs, and then she was being a waitress for a long time, trying to barely make ends meet. And then she finally got a job as an intern with this makeup artist in town who had connections in Hollywood and stuff, and they're doing a lot of movies in Atlanta where we lived at the time. And she finally got it, and she was just getting really depressed, didn't want to do it. I kept pushing her, saying, you're really talented, just keep pushing for it and stick with this internship. And finally he got her one day on the set on The Walking Dead, and she did so well, they asked her back a couple more times, and now she's a regular makeup artist on The Walking Dead. So she's there for all the shoots. And she's always, I talk to her occasionally online, and she's like, of course can't reveal anything about the new season, where they're shooting, but they drive out in these weird remote locations in Georgia to film in these woods, and it's so hot outside, and they have to keep redoing the makeup because it's melting off their faces. Yeah. So it was really cool. I'm very proud of her for going that far.
That's neat.
But yeah, there's some good horror shows. Yeah. I mean, back in the day, there was, what's the one they made a movie of recently with Johnny Depp? It was that ridiculous horror where he plays a vampire. Oh,
Dark Shadows or something?
Dark Shadows, yeah.
Is that it?
That was it. Dark Shadows is like those horrible horror shows they had in the past. They didn't really have many horror shows in the past. It's kind of a new sensation. People want horror year round, but
I can't wait for the inevitable Munsters remake and the inevitable Addams Family.
Well, they did remake the Munsters and it failed.
Well, I'm talking about someone will do it big budget. Someone will do it Hollywood.
Oh, because it was on television and it had Jerry O'Connor was the star of it.
Well, good. He's great.
And it failed. They had like 3 episodes. The House on Mockingbird Lane, they called it.
I can see someone doing a full redo of Addams Family. It's been like 25 years now.
I'm sorry, Raul Julia.
We're so sorry, Raul.
He was a fantastic Gomez.
He was the best Gomez.
So that's pretty much our giant recap of what Halloween means to us. It means quite a bit.
Candy, the costumes, the shenanigans, the parties, the movies, all of it.
All of it.
Slutty bee costumes.
That I wear every year.
Yeah, every year. You always get sent home early.
I'm pretty sure that cryogenically frozen prostitute should be a costume from now on.
Cryo prostitute.
Cryo slut. Wear it this year. On sale now at your local Halloween supermarket.
Not related to Cryo Hobo, who just unfreezes to beg for change enough to go back in.
It's much more depressing. Anyway, so now moving on to a fun segment here where I am going to quiz Steve on how did they die.
Okay.
So this is basically going to be clips, and Steve has to figure out. I'm going to play these clips from movies, bad horror movies, and he has to figure out just from the sounds alone how this person died.
Do you feel like there's enough clue in what I'm going to hear that I can guess it?
How they died? Some of them.
Yes. Okay.
Possibly.
I just want to make sure it's not just a whole bunch of screams and gargling noises.
Possibly it's that.
It might still be that. Okay.
That's why it'll be interesting to hear if you actually get it right.
Okay, cool.
So if you are the faint of heart audience.
And are any of these horror movies like extremely old?
No.
Okay, good. Just so I can keep some sort of frame of mind.
But they aren't very recognizable either. Just beware, some of them are sci-fi original movies.
Oh, well then what the hell am I going to get?
No, you're not going to guess the movie. You're just going to guess how they're dying.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah. Good. All right, here we go. This is actually a mainstream movie. So here we go.
Could you be a little quieter with that thing, please?
Yeah, sure. I'll just put it on quiet mode.
That would be good.
Okay. So what
Someone
was that?
Died?
Yep.
I'm going to say they got hit by something while they were on the motorcycle? Like hit by a truck, maybe? There was no smashing sound. I got nothing.
There were cars involved. So that was a firefighter trying to use some kind of chainsaw type thing to get this woman out of a car. But as soon as he hits the front of the car with it, the airbag goes off and shoots glass through her eye.
What movie is that from? That's awesome.
It was one of the Final Destination movies.
Oh, of course. I should have known with glass shooting through the eyes. It had to be.
Yeah. Very, very random. Okay, so here's your next one.
Okay. I'm going to say crushed by some sort of giant door coming down.
Hey, that's pretty damn close.
Well, what is it?
That was from Scream. And that's where this girl is trying to escape. Rose McGowan, actually, one of her early roles.
Yeah,
she's trying to escape through
out of the doggy door.
Yes.
Yes.
And she gets stuck in the doggy door, and the garage door just pops her head off.
Well, I think I get a point for that one.
I think you do. You get a point for that one.
Yeah.
Okay, this one you're probably not going to get.
Good.
But that makes it all the more fun. All right. Here we go.
I'm going to say burned or cut apart with some sort of laser beam.
Pretty close. I might give you a point for that, too. She's strapped down to a machine to get LASIK. And then the laser gets to too high powered of a mode because it gets stuck on something. And so the laser starts shooting through her eyeball.
I'm going to take a point for that one, whether you give it to me or not.
No, I would. A death by LASIK is how I called that one. But that was pretty damn close. All right. Here we go. This is the next one. More ladies screaming. What the hell was that?
Drowned in a fish tank?
Oh, close. Kind of. You don't get a point.
Not really, no.
But
water.
So there's no way to get this. This is from Jason X, where Jason is in space, the Friday the 13th series.
Oh, he freezes her, and he puts her head into liquid nitrogen.
Yes.
Yes, I do. Now that you told me the movie, I know what it is. I can see it in my head.
And then he lifts her up and then smashes her face on the counter. It shatters in ice and blood. It's hilarious.
Good.
Okay. I'm glad you've seen that.
I have, of course.
There we go. The next one.
What is this?
I think that's the blob.
It is.
Yeah, he's getting burned to death by the blob.
Oh, not burned to death.
Well, it has acid. It sucks him in and eats him.
No, but did you hear the water
blob does
at the end? I've never seen the blob, but is it from the blob? So I'll give you a point for that.
No,
but
what then?
He's getting
the blob
pulled.
Kills people.
He's getting pulled down the sink, and then and then
his shoe. Yeah.
What do you call it? The garbage disposal.
Yeah, he's trying to plunge it, and then he puts his hand in. He comes out. It's got goo on it, and then this thing comes up, grabs him by the face, and pulls him in.
Exactly.
You
get a point for that one.
As soon as I heard "Don't touch him," I was like, "That's totally the blob."
Don't touch him. I've not seen the blob. All right, here we go. I can't imagine being those actresses.
Is that something from Sharknado?
No. I actually haven't gotten to the sci-fi original movies yet.
Original, so I just assumed that would be one of them.
So no clue, huh?
No, there was just a lot of screaming. It sounded like something was breaking through glass.
Yeah, there was. There was some of that.
But I have no idea.
It was Death by Tanning Bed.
Another one of the Final Destination, I'm taking it.
Indeed. They have the strangest deaths in those movies. They get stuck in tanning beds and they can't get out, and somehow it gets high-powered enough to just cook their skin right off.
As it should be.
All right, couple more. These are actually the sci-fi original ones here.
So I'll never guess these. Okay.
What planet are you from?
There, does that help you to understand?
Okay.
I'm going to say eaten by a huge creature. It
Well,
like
yes.
chewing noises.
He bit his head off. I'll give you a point for that one.
Yeah. What was it from?
I don't know, but Bruce Campbell is in it. It's a sci-fi original movie. Worth watching already is Bruce Campbell. Here's another. If you can name the actor that you hear in this next clip, then you also get a point.
Okay.
Here we go. I guess you can't name him from that.
Tommy Lee Jones?
No, not Volcano.
I got nothing. I don't even know what happened to him.
It was John Rhys Davies, Gimli, being killed by a boa constrictor who was like bigger than him.
Oh, in the Anaconda film sequel, right?
Probably.
Yes. Sounds right.
All right, here's our last one.
Okay.
This one is the most ridiculous.
I'm going to say being eaten and bitten by hundreds of snakes.
Nope.
Damn.
So this clip made no sense to me. So this guy's on a ski lift and he sees far away this green spider-like creature. So he decides to jump out of the ski lift and of course falls and breaks his leg. Could have been to his death, but he decides to jump out of the ski lift. And then all of a sudden this green four-legged spider-like creature, for some reason, very bad CGI, comes over and just starts eating him.
Well, good.
So,
as long as it all makes sense.
And of course it makes sense. So I'll see how you total the points there. Let's see. How many did you get?
I think I got like 2.
No, you got more than that.
Maybe 3. Maybe.
1, 2, 3. You got 5 points. 5 out of 9.
I have a very hard time believing that, but okay.
I kept giving you pity points, so there you go.
Okay, good. I'll take pity points.
So that was our new segment. What killed them?
What killed them? What done them in?
What done them in?
How'd they buy the farm?
How they kicked the bucket.
Here at Play on Nerds, we have developed an interesting rating system to bring to you our ideas on the trailers we're about to review. At the low end of the scale, we have Burn It, where we think you should find every copy you can get your hands on and throw it into a barrel fire.
Kill it with fire. And our next step is Drunk Watch, which means that, yeah, I'd watch this movie. It'd be entertaining if I was under the influence of some kind of substance of some kind. But if I was sober, probably not going to check this thing out.
Nope, not going to see it. Next, we've got We'll See, which is maybe we just don't know enough about this movie to tell what the hell it's going to be.
Could be good, could be bad, not sure. And our next category would be Get the Couch Ready, which means I'm definitely going to check this movie out at home. Wouldn't necessarily pay the big bucks of seeing it in theaters, but I'm definitely going to watch it at home, so get that couch ready.
After that, we have Take a Look, where we are recommending for you, our viewers and listeners, to check out this movie and check out the trailer and tell us what you think about it. We wanted to see what you guys think.
It looks pretty good, but we're not quite sure yet.
Yeah, take a look.
Yeah.
Let us know.
And for our final and best category, we have Shut Up and Take My Money.
Shut up and take my money.
This looks so awesome, we're gonna see it.
That's where we cannot wait to give Hollywood bigwigs all of the money that we have earned at work to go see a film for $47. We're so excited, we just have to go see it. We don't have a choice.
And that is our A Play on Nerds official copyrighted trademark system for rating our movie trailers.
So now we move on to our trailer reviews, and in keeping with the Halloween spirit, we have chosen all horror films.
Absolutely.
And the first one I'm going to talk about is the one that I chose this week, Summer of Blood, or SOB. And it seems to be about a socially awkward gentleman who's, 40-some and still living alone, who gives up everything to become a vampire, and it changes his life and makes him cool and acceptable, and ladies love him.
It has to end well.
I think it's going to at least be funny. At the very least, it's going to be funny, but it looks good.
Yeah, I saw in the preview that they said it's like if Woody Allen made a vampire movie, this would be it. And the only problem I have with that is that's one of the reasons I don't like Woody Allen movies too much, is because even though he's self-deprecating throughout the movie, you can still tell he's like pretty full of himself.
Right.
And that's the same kind of feeling I get from this guy. It's like, oh yeah, I'm so ugly and stupid, but I'm smarter than you. So it's like, that's kind of annoying. But I mean, I'm not discounting the whole movie for that, because it does look pretty funny. It's like a silly romp, if you will.
Yeah, a comedy vampire film, which there haven't really been any good ones of.
And set in Brooklyn, so it's near you.
Hell yeah, Brooklyn. That's where all the vampires live.
Let's hope so.
So I'm going to give this one a take a look.
As will I.
Yeah, because I'll take a look at it. If it comes out on, iTunes or something, I might rent it, but I'm not going to go see it in theaters probably.
Yeah, but it looks cute. So the next one will be The Houses, October Built, which I think looks pretty interesting. It's basically, looks like it's about
it's a found footage film.
Found footage film, yep, but I think fairly well done looking. It's a group of 20-somethings looking for the best haunted house in the country. So they go on a road trip, going to different haunted houses, and they hear about this one really, really good one, an underground one, and they go there, and once they get there, they see a lot of the scare actors from the other haunted houses they've already been to, just kind of hanging around. And then those scare actors start to attack them. And so one reason I thought you might like this one, Steve, because it isn't necessarily paranormal or ghosts or anything. It could
when I started watching it, I was like, oh, it's some dumb fucking ghost film. And then I was like, oh, never mind. This is more of a scary thriller.
Because these might actually be just real people who are fucked up or in a cult or something who are, attacking them. So we don't know. But there's a really creepy girl doll thing, which is really weird. So I appreciated that.
Oh, yeah, that's creepy looking.
It was. And she starts yelling at the screen. It was just very creepy.
But I'm going to go ahead and give this one we'll see, because I'm not sure what angle they're going to play with it yet.
I'm going to go ahead and give it a drunk watch, which means I'm definitely probably going to watch this at some point when I'm under the influence and enjoying a night of horror movies. It looks like it'd be a lot of fun, at least kind of creepy too. So what's the last one, Steve?
Our final one is the third installment of VHS series, VHS Viral. And I think we spoke briefly about VHS series earlier, but it's basically, there's an overarching story of people breaking into a house or looking and finding these tapes that each sort of have this different scary story on them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they do the vignettes, is by these people finding these tapes and watching each of them and experiencing each of them. And it ranges everywhere from vampires to demons, some very fun zombie stuff in the last films, some religious culty kind of stuff. And I just like it. I like most vignette films because if you hate part of it, it's going to get better or it's going to change.
Yeah, and they're generally entertaining, especially if you're at home with a bunch of friends just watching these kind of casually. It's a great kind of like horror movie party thing to watch. So for this one, I put it's between a we'll see and a drunk watch. So we'll see if I'll drunk watch it.
I'm going to give it a get the couch ready, because as soon as I can watch it at home, I will watch it at home.
There you go. So no shut up and take my monies this week,
and no burn it's either. We didn't burn any of these films.
I've never done a burn it before.
Well, be prepared,
I can't wait to get one.
Post-Oscar season is coming up, and we're going to have our pick of the litter of some really bad films.
Oh, I can't wait to have my first burn it.
The stuff coming out right after January, like January 6th, that's not good. All that week's going to be bad.
Well, that is our mega Halloween episode, folks. It's been a lot of fun.
I got a sweet tooth just talking about all that candy. I'm so excited.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready for some trick-or-treaters, ready to go to some Halloween parties. Gonna have a horror burlesque show. It's gonna be a fun time.
Horror and boobs. What could be better?
Pretty much. Buy a ticket.
Yeah. And chocolate.
And chocolate.
But thanks for joining us again, Internet. We hope that this brought back some splendid Halloween memories for you all. Have a good one, Internet.
And if you have any pictures of yourself in Halloween costumes, doing that kind of thing, feel free to post it on our page. Send it our way. Be
Send
fun
it
to
our
look
way.
at. Yeah,
also,
absolutely.
you can find us at a Play on Nerds on Facebook, a Play on Nerds on Twitters. We got Google Plus. I've never really seen it, but we have it.
We do have followers on there, independent followers.
We're on SoundCloud. We're on iTunes. We have a Twitch channel. We might be on YouTube soon. We're everywhere. There's no excuse not to listen to us now. Internet.
You can consume us in any way you possibly want.
We're gonna get it mainlined soon, so you can just tap into your arm and bam, you got Play on Nerds.
Mm-hmm. Right into your ear holes. But thanks, listeners. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, and stay nerdy, my friends.
Thanks, Internet.